Being an entrepreneur is about having it's not a skill thing, it's a gut thing. A good entrepreneur will have the ability to intuit of the 3 products that you think will succeed. This is the one that'll work. They'll have the aggressive nature to drive into a market because they're operating a small entity, often against much bigger competitors. They will have a cutthroat, ruthless nature about them, which is necessary to succeed, because if they play fair, then they're not going to succeed because the marketplace isn't fair to them.
It is always easier to make great strides than it is to make great advances, small advances. It's always, everybody say always. It's always easier to make great strides than it is to make small advances. But because you've been programmed by the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism, and you spent the majority of your young life in the government indoctrination camps, AKA child prisons, schools, whatever you want to call them, since you spent most of your life in that arena, what happened was you were programmed to make small advances over a long period of time, and nobody ever taught you how to make great gains over a very short period of time. How many of y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Wave at me.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you.
First as youth and then as entrepreneurs and builders, we have to get to a place where we say, nothing for us without us. And I don't think we have embraced that thinking. And as a consequence, we end up with regulatory frameworks, rules, laws, legislations, policies that put strain on us, but we weren't consulted when they were constructed.
Here's why people stay broke, because what they do is you say, look, you can always make up leverage where you lack an ability, and they say, yeah, but how much does leverage cost? That's a question to ask, but over time, how much does it cost you not to have leverage? That's a better question to ask.
We can't do it. We just can't ship junk. So there are thresholds that we can't cross because of who we are. But we want to make the best personal computers in the industry. And we think there's a very significant slice of the industry that wants that too. And what you'll find is our products are usually not premium priced. You go and price out our competitors' products, and you add the features that you have to add to make them useful, and you'll find in some cases they are more expensive than our products. The difference is we don't offer stripped down, lousy products. You know, we just don't offer categories of products like that. But if you move those aside and compare us with our competitors, I think we compare pretty favorably. And a lot of people have been doing that and saying that now for the last 18 months.
If I'm a small company challenging bigger companies, I can't play fair. If David went up to Goliath and faced him wearing a sword, he would have lost. He didn't do this. He played his game, not Goliath's game. So the role of the entrepreneur is to figure out, how do I gain my unfair share? That takes a particular kind of person, and you either have that or you don't.
This can't work. This is what we call, when it comes to making money, you are running financially. And the only thing you ever do to attempt to increase your income is buy some new running shoes. That's why people go from job to job to job to job to job, and then they go back to school so they can get a more expensive pair of shoes, but they're still running. It doesn't work. And so what we have to do is we have to level up to a higher level of value. Now, the second level of value is unification. Unification, on this level, you use your management skills times people times time to make money.
The dairy industry tried for 20 years to convince you that milk was good for you. It's a lie, but they tried anyway. And the sales were going like this. And then they tried got milk, and the sales are going like this. Dot Milk doesn't even talk about the product. Matter of fact, it focuses on the absence of the product. But the best example of all, and one of the greatest jobs of marketing that the universe has ever seen is Nike. Remember, Nike sells a commodity. They sell shoes. And yet, when you think of Nike, you feel something different than a shoe company. In their ads, as you know, they don't ever talk about the product. They don't ever tell you about their air soles and why they're better than Reebok's air soles. What does Nike do in their advertising? They honor great athletes and they honor great athletics.
That the companies that dominate markets are large companies that have existed long before many of the leaders who run it today were running those businesses. That a lot of the leaders in South African businesses today don't know how to be underdogs.
100%.
Right. That the idea is that if you're a CEO of a bank today, and I say this with all the respect, CEO of a bank, an insurance company, a retail business, an agricultural produce business, you're in logistics, distribution, supply chain, even in ICT, right? It's most likely that the market you're operating in is oligopolistic, so you're one of 3 or 4 other players. You've been dominating that market for 30, 40 years. And if you're losing market share, you're kind of like switching sandwiches with each other.
That's true.
But when you get into these frontier markets, you very quickly realize like your competitive environment is not this big Gaussian thing with a long tail. It's like, it's a big competitive streak, right?
Yeah.
The reason we resist getting started is because we have these memories of things we attempted in the past. But remember this now, correlation does not equal causation. You've attempted things in the past, they didn't work. So you assume that when you attempt things, they don't work. But maybe the reason the thing that you attempted in the past didn't work, the real reason is because you had attempted it in a way where the principles you were applying were not stronger than the principles that you were working against.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere when it got really tough, and the ones that didn't love it quit because they're sane, right? Who would want to put up with this stuff if you don't love it? So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly, and if you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it, you got to have passion.
We agree that you can be a bookkeeper and a chartered accountant. Mm-hmm. Both are in the same discipline, but there are different levels of proficiency.
Yeah.
Right. But to acquire those levels of proficiency, there's certain things they have to do to prove themselves capable of working at that level. Right. What do? I'm a global speaker. What does that mean? That means in a week from now, I'll be in Tokyo. A week after that, in Kuala Lumpur. A week after that, in Brazil. And everywhere I go, I am completely relatable.
Yeah.
So what South Africans say, it doesn't sound South African. No, because I'm a globalist.
Yeah.
I sound how I need to, and have been trained to. This is important. You don't wake up talking like this.
Yeah.
I was trained to. This is why I'm the highest paid speaker in the continent. It's because when I land in Nigeria, I hit. When I land in Mombasa, I hit. When I land in Beijing, I hit. When I land in Los Angeles, I share the stages with the biggest guys you guys follow on Twitter and on social media. And every time I get off, they go, God damn, who's that guy?
Yes, that's you flexing, boy, but we feel it.
But the point is, it's because I take what I do seriously.
Yeah.